This is a key to quiz number 3, and on quiz number 3 you're asked to either multiply or divide rational expressions. So in number 1 it says multiply and then simplify your answers and then show all required work to receive points for correct answers. Let me go ahead and rewrite this problem to make it look a little bit larger. So the first rational expression is x squared minus 3x minus 10 divided by 5x minus 10. And then that's being multiplied by this rational expression, which is x minus 2 divided by x squared minus 6x plus 5. All right, the first thing you have to do to multiply two rational expressions and then simplify the answers and so forth is to factor all of the numerators and all of the denominators if you're able to factor, if it's possible. So in the first numerator, this quadratic trinomial, that can be factored as x minus 5 times x plus 2. And the denominator, the GCF is 5 here, so I can factor out a 5, and so you get 5 times x minus 2 times, and then the numerator, x minus 2, the GCF is 1. There's nothing you can do there in terms of factoring, so I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite it over. The denominator, I can factor that as x minus 5 times x minus 1. All right, so the first thing I did was I factored the numerators of the denominators. Now the next step is to simplify or reduce if possible, and you notice that you can reduce. So you look at your factors and reduce your common factors. So I have an x minus 5 here in the numerator, have an x minus 5 in the denominator. So those divide out. So I do need to see how you're reducing. So you must show this. So now when you reduce, keep in mind your you're left with factors of 1s because x minus 5 divided by x minus 5 is 1. All right, so those are 1s there. Then the next factor I see is an x plus 2. Now that there's no factor of x plus 2 in the denominator, so I cannot reduce that factor. Then the next one I see is an x minus 2 as a factor, and I see 1 right here. So I can reduce that one. So you're left with factors of 1. So again, you must have shown how those are reduced. And so therefore, your final answer will be 1 times x plus 2 times 1, which is x plus 2, divided by 5 times 1 times 1 times x minus 1, which is just 5 times x minus 1. Now leave your answer, the denominator, in factored form. So some students just want to go ahead and multiply these denominators out. Now this is not a difficult one to multiply. You just distribute a 5. But if you made a mistake, you said equal, and then you made a mistake somewhere around here, you're not going to get full credit. So even though this was correct, this is what I wanted. You go further, you make any mathematical error, you are going to lose points. All right, so that was number 1. Just leave it in factored form. Number 2, same thing. So number 2, you're multiplying these two rational expressions. And so let me go ahead and rewrite this over. You have 2x squared minus 10x divided by x squared minus 9x plus 20 times x squared minus 8x plus 16 divided by 4x squared. All right, now, first thing you have to do is factor the numerators and factor the denominators. So in this binomial, this quadratic binomial here, I can factor out a 2x, that's the GCF. So this becomes 2x times x minus 5. The denominator, I can factor that, let's see, that's going to be x minus 5, x minus 4, all right, times the numerator, I can factor that as x minus 4 times x minus 4. And I would go ahead and leave it in factored form, leave it in this form right here. And I know you can write it as x minus 4 squared if you want to. And then this is a monomial factor, so I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this over. Okay, now the next step is to reduce. So my first factor I see is a 2. I can reduce that 2 with this 4 right here. So 2 into 2 is 1. 2 into 4 is 2. Then the next factor I see is an x. A factor is an x. I have two factors of x's here. So I can reduce this factor into this factor. So the x divided by x is 1. X squared divided by x is just one factor of x. So you have x to the first power. The next factor sees an x minus 5. I see 1 here, so I can reduce those. You're left with factors of 1. Again, you must show what you're reducing. The next factor is x minus 4. I see 1 here, so I can reduce those. The next factor is x minus 4. I don't have any other factors of x minus 4 to do this with, to reduce. So I'm done. So therefore your final answer then will be 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times x minus 4, which is x minus 4, divided by 1 times 1 times 2 times x, which is 2x. All right, so there's your work, and there's the answer. You must show a couple of things. You must show the factoring, and you must show how you're reducing. And then there's your answer. Number 3. So number 3, this time you're dividing. Now the first thing you need to do is change division to multiplication. So let me go ahead and rewrite this over. So this will be x squared minus 2x plus 1 divided by x plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and do division here. X squared minus 1 divided by x plus 1. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is change this to multiplication. So you're going to change division to multiplication. Remember, you're always going to multiply by the reciprocal. So whenever you change the division to multiplication, you take the reciprocal of the rational expression following the division symbol. So this becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1 divided by x plus 1 times, and then this is x plus 1 divided by x squared minus 1. And now the rest is just like you did in problems 1 and 2. So you're going to factor anything that's possible to factor. So this numerator, I can factor that as x minus 1 times itself. The denominator is a binomial. The GCF is 1. There's nothing else I can do with that. Same thing with the numerator. The denominator is a difference of two squares, so I'm going to go ahead and write that as x minus 1 times x plus 1. Okay, now let's go ahead and reduce common factors. My first factor I see is an x minus 1. I see one right here. So I can divide those out. You must show that. You must show what's being reduced. The next factor is x minus 1. There's no other factor of x minus 1 to reduce that with. The next factor is x plus 1. I see one here and I see one here. It does not matter which one you use. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. And then that's it. So the answer then is going to be 1 times x minus 1 times 1, which is x minus 1, divided by 1 times x plus 1, which is x plus 1. All right. Number 4. Okay, so again, let me go ahead and rewrite this over. So the problem is this. It's x squared plus 7x plus 12 divided by x squared plus 3x minus 10 divided by x squared minus x minus 20 divided by x squared minus 25. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is change the division to multiplication. So you can multiply by the reciprocal. So I have x squared plus 7x plus 12 divided by x squared plus 3x minus 10 times the reciprocal. So x squared minus 25 divided by x squared minus x minus 20. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to factor the numerators and the denominators if possible. So in each of these I can factor. So the first numerator, that's going to be x plus 4 times x plus 3. The denominator, you can factor that as x plus 5 times x minus 2 times. This is the difference of two squares, so that's x minus 5 times x plus 5. And this will be x minus 5 times x plus 4. Alright, so the first thing we did was we factored. Then we're going to reduce common factors. My first factor I see in the numerator is an x plus 4. I see one in the denominator, so those will divide out. You're left with factors of 1. The next factor you see is x plus 3. I don't see any in the denominator, so I can't reduce this one. The next one is x minus 5. I can reduce it with this one. The next one is x plus 5. I can reduce it with this one. And that's all I can do. So the answer then will be 1 times x plus 3 times 1, which is x plus 3. That's a 3. Divided by 1 times x minus 2 times 1, which is x minus 2. All right. And so that is the key to quiz number 3.